Man alone chimes against the hour. Each moment, the soldier's instant. Now, fleeting, precious, full of discontent, and yet pregnant with opportunity. Welcome to Project Iron Man 73. One of the most important things that I found that has helped me make progress in every season of my life is to know and recognize what is achievable 3 months out. The truth is, for the most part, we cannot expect to predict what might be possible in a year's time. I've tried this many times. I've set goals a year out or 5 years out, and I just cannot predict what would happen in a year's time. I've actually had a very reasonable calculation of what could be done in 3 months' time. And that's what I found is like a magical period of time where my brain can calculate what should come next. And it's the entire reason why I picked Ironman 73 Haines City as my next race, so close to Twin Cities Marathon. I was even myself trying to negotiate myself out of it. Like, why are you signing up for another race so quickly after the sub 3:10 marathon attempt that kind of went badly? And ultimately what I found is because it is the next thing that is totally achievable and yet still a reasonable milestone, still reasonable progress. And so in this video, I want to acknowledge and address 4 ideas related to that. The first idea is this: progress is guaranteed in endurance as long as you show up every day. This is one of the rare domains in life where progress is guaranteed. No matter what endurance event you decide to sign up for, if you simply show up to the training every day, and any given days of training isn't super taxing actually. Once you get used to it, it's not that taxing. Progress in endurance is so guaranteed. Anyone who's tried to do like a bulk or cut or like proper muscle building phase, you would know that progress can be reasonably expected, but it's very hard to guarantee that you're going to put on muscle mass, especially if you've been lifting for a few years. It's hard to like nail it and get everything right and getting your macros, getting shredded. Technically, it's guaranteed. All these body composition related efforts, technically, the results of those are guaranteed, but in practice, it's actually very difficult. But with endurance, progress comes quick and it has a bunch of downstream cascading benefits. So once Twin Cities was over, I realized I had sort of learned how to swim over this summer in the sense that I literally learned what a stroke was, and I managed to accomplish my fear of swimming in the open water, which was major, but I couldn't label myself as a competent swimmer. I couldn't say that I was like a great swimmer. And yet, if I were to put in another 10 weeks on a mini block for Ironman 73 at Haines City, with that kind of forcing system, with that kind of pressure in there actually is a chance that I could become a very decent swimmer. There might even be a chance that I could complete that swim in 45 minutes. Imagine me, Nikhil, doing a mile 0.2 in 45 minutes in open water. It excited me. It seemed possible. And so this mini arc began to form. And we can extend this to so many other domains in life. What I found is that even with just 30 minutes of study or preparation a day, or 30 minutes of training a day, you can make enormous progress. And I can say this because for the last 3 weeks, it's just been approximately 30-ish minutes in the water every day. And what's funny is that most of those training sessions, they continued to just not go very well. It's hilarious. I'd be swimming and kind of feeling like I was doing what I was always doing. Like 1 lap in the open water, 25 meters, out of breath, wait, another 1 lap. But also, I can now say that after 3 weeks of this, of just struggling through this, and with no kind of coach or anything, just watching the occasional YouTube video reminding me of good technique, I knocked off 10 seconds off my 25 meters. So my over 100 meter distance is 150 over 100 right now. It's really fantastic. So progress is guaranteed. And this is so useful because many terrains in life, progress is very start and go. I'm currently working on a feature length film project, and there are so many battles to trying to nailing progression with that. It's so difficult across the board. We're constantly struggling with audio, locking down locations, locking down actors. If there's 5 actors for a shoot, one of them might get sick. Making a movie on a small budget, a micro budget movie, I mean, on any scale it's difficult, but it's super hard on a micro budget. In many respects, I feel as if every time I work to pursue this movie, the universe just starts to punish me and just make my life more difficult, yet somehow I persist. But progress with endurance events, it just comes so quick, and that gives you a lot of hope in any terrain of your life. A lot of my friends, they work in tech, there have been some layoffs, and they don't have anything that gives them a reliable sense of progress, a reliable sense of momentum. And what an endurance sport or something like that can give you is it can give you a sense of hope when sometimes it feels like there is none. It reminds you that circumstance will not always stay the same. you can change your positioning in this world. You can make it better. And the surprising thing about training and really making progress towards any goal, any effort, is that somehow things are connected. So if you get better at one thing, if you make progress on some goal, you end up making progress in others. Now, of course, it's good to not have too many goals that you're working towards. And it's good to be focused and be essentialist. But I found the sweet spot is having like 2 to 3, maybe up to 4 goals in any season of your life that you're working on, which is a lot. But that means that if any area of your life starts to get too stuck, you can still progress. You know, if things are not going well with the feature film, I can always transition over to Ironman training and see progress there, and vice versa. You know, if I ever make progress with the film, it gets so many other areas of my life unstuck. When I started working on my movie again, actually, I thought it would like be hurting my finances and it would be a constant drain on my resources. When in fact, what I found is that it generated so much energy, so much momentum. It made me such a better filmmaker in such a short amount of time that it was like the greatest thing ever. It's like things have been progressing beautifully. If you can find what you can do 3 months out, that can be reasonable. You should always ask yourself, like, what can I do in 3 months' time that is totally achievable? I can fully do a thing. It is an arc that is there for the taking for me, and no one can take that away from me. And if I achieve it, it would be like definitively meaningful progress. If you can ask yourself what that goal is and then commit yourself to it, that becomes very, very, very powerful, and it just keeps you unstuck in life. The second idea I want to talk about in this video is that the body comes first and then the mind. It's very hard to enact discipline over the mind if you cannot discipline your body. We carry a lot of strange energies inside of, a lot of anxieties. Your body is sort of like your subconscious. It holds a lot of stuff that you might not be fully aware of. And you need to get this lactic acid and even like these negative energies in your body, you need to get it out of your system. The body must be rigorously applied first before the mind can be brought under control. Any kind of addiction that you might have, whether it's, I don't know, pornography or gambling or any social media, it's very hard. It would be very hard to overcome that addiction if you were not a fitness person, if you did not devote yourself to fitness. Even I think most men, if they're not engaging in some kind of regular fitness, it becomes so hard to enact like any control of your mind. And you need to be able to control your mind if you want to get a result in the world. So at the end of the day, we come back to the same fundamental source. We need to control the body first. That's why I love having my first goal every season be fitness related. Whether it's skill-based or effort-based, I want it to be a physical goal. That's why Sinbad Trains, I know, is a channel that I could do for years to come, because years and years from now, I'll still be wanting to learn something new and progress in some capacity with fitness. Idea number 3. You will earn status and you will make progress towards your other goals. The strange thing about endurance training, especially with Ironman, I would say it increases your status. Primarily, it increases status internally. And anyone who's gone on a super long run at a pace faster than what they're used to, faster than what's comfortable, or especially with Ironman training, because there's an element of risk involved. You know, the discipline of swimming, especially in open water, it could take your life if you're not smart. When you take on adventure and danger and challenge and suffering in the physical capacity, it builds up your internal status. And that's really important, because I think many men, this is an unacknowledged truth of our existence, a very painful truth, is that we are in the quest for status, some kind of progress, some kind of progression, a quest for glory. Really, it's why the Romans would like be in the front lines, like raiding a siege or something, because they knew that it led to honor and glory. People would like put their lives in danger for a medal. We were built in this capacity to some degree. And I know that in my entire life, really the one most reliable thing that I've been chasing is the quest for status. This is very internal and natural to our existence. Even Jordan Peterson in his book 12 Rules for Life, he talked about the lobsters who would fight each other, and the ones who lost, they had their status lowered. They didn't feel so good. They were ostracized. In another book by Will Storer, The Status Game, it talked about so much about how the entire existence of our psychology and our association with winning and how it affects our mindset is so relevant. We are constantly in a battle to matter. And if you ever struggle with this, and there are other areas in your life where you feel kind of low status, so to speak, maybe you're having a hard time progressing with your career, maybe you're having a hard time interpersonally, you will be able to build up some amount of status through endurance training. And I think the biggest place where my internal status has gone up has actually been through Ironman training, because swimming is so hard for me, so technical and scary. You know, there's an element of danger involved with it. And it's status building. It feels internally very satisfying to know that I can actually swim across the lake if I want to. More than that, I would say, maybe to a smaller degree, but it also builds up your status externally. Not to a huge degree, because for the most part, people are involved in their own lives. And the only way to be involved in other people's lives and get them to care about you is if you speak to them through some sort of art, some sort of artistic reverie. Then you can win people's hearts over. If you can make them laugh, if you can make them feel some kind of emotion, if you can inspire them, you can win status in the eyes of others. But endurance and Ironman, to a degree, I found that it actually builds out a tiny bit of status externally as well. People acknowledge and respect the fact that you're doing a hard thing, a thing that not everyone can do. If you're extremely strong, if you're super capable, if you can do something really impressive with yourself physically, you can run fast, you can do weighted chin-ups, whatever it might be, it wins respect in the eyes of others. This is perhaps not the most substantial place by which you should take on external pursuits, because the validation of others is very, very short-lived and ultimately perhaps hollow. But we have to acknowledge that we are to some degree wired to seek validation from the world at large. It's a way that our biology created us to matter, like to make sure that we're like accepted by the village, accepted by the tribe. And taking on the right endurance event, I found it helps bring status in the eyes of others too. Partially because you generate so much momentum around you. You know, like you always have something to do. It's a way of keeping busy. You're not just a spectator. You're not just out there watching sports in the stadium. You have your own quest to go on. Keeps you busy, keeps you focused, keeps the mind not idle. And that's a very powerful thing. But the most respectable aspect of this is that it builds up status internally. And that's been so useful. I found that slowly over the years, my ability to command others has gone up, you know, in like a work capacity. People don't know this or acknowledge this or talk about this, but it feels very stressful or nerve-wracking at times to tell others what to do. But if you are an entrepreneur, or if you have employees, or if you have a business to run, then very much a part of your job is telling others what to do. I was doing a shoot for River Rats, my feature film, the other day, and it was one of the bigger shoots in the sense that there were 4 actors and a total of 3 on the crew that day. And I had to like keep the shoot intact and continually tell people what to do, people I respect. You know, people occasionally I'm intimidated by, I have to tell them what to do. And yet I'm able to have that confidence and that courage to like command people more than ever. Partially because I know I'm a tough guy, you know, at least to some degree. There's a toughness to me, there's a grit to me that I was able to cultivate, endure, and build over the years. We all need that in order to progress as high of a level as possible. So in this season of my life, I'm trying to find that more than ever. I'm really striving hard to become the hardest worker in the room. Reliably and consistently, the most dependable, the most reliable. The one that I need to work on more is perhaps the most patient, but I'm working on developing this capacity to get the job done, to progress, and to lead by examples for others. Because if people can see that you are getting after it more than anyone else, then they will trust you, they will respect you, and as a result, you might end up finding that you're a better business owner or a better entrepreneur as a result. Which brings me to the last idea of the video. You increase your manifestation. There are ions in the water. And I think, especially if you can swim in nature, I was just able to get my last open water swim in, even though the water was cold. It was like probably 50 or 55 degrees. I was able to get my very last open water swim in. I began to realize and understand that there are ions in that damn water. And I feel very balanced and relaxed and one with nature. And I'm even beginning to find, whether it's swimming in a lap pool or in a lake, swimming makes me more balanced and harmonious and gets all this training done, gets all this movement in my body. It sets me up to meditate even better. And when my physicality is mastered like that, I find that I'm able to manifest better. I remember in this last week, as we were trying to lock down shoot location for River Rats for a poker scene, I just could not lock down a location. I went to a couple different restaurants, went to like the rectory of a cathedral, and even reached out to Paddle for Docks, like this boat company, to see if we could shoot our poker match. It's a big scene in the movie, a big poker match there, and I just could not get a location down. I was slowly beginning to nail down my actors and get those people on board. So like the actors were beginning to get on the crew and like, you know, be well oriented for the shoot. But I was not able to lock down the location, which is so important and so stressful because like as the days go by, everyone is expected to meet somewhere, right? Some location you would expect everyone would show up to shoot this scene, and the location was not yet found. So I was just finding some stress within me about that. I was like just not confident about this. I was like, where am I going to get this location from? Luckily, because of my lady and like some connection, I was able to get it together last minute. But while I was struggling through that, I would reach out to places during my swims. And because my swim was progressing, I was able to like not be so caught up all the time about the location for the film shoot. I was able to just stay in the game and like just stay focused on like, okay, it'll come because I'm getting progression on swimming. Slowly but surely, this location will also come. It kept me occupied, kept me distracted. I made this reference some time ago in a video on my main channel, but I talked about how goals, some of them are very closed off. If every goal is like a sphere of energy, some of them are completely stuck and caught up. And other goals, they're a little bit more loose and naturally swollen. They're just easier to progress in. So what you can do is you can pivot over to the goals that are achievable and work on them and like get those done. And when you achieve that goal, you're able to progress more readily. It like creates a burst of energy that allows you to progress more like rapidly on the ones that were originally hard. Because when one goal is achieved and it breaks open, it creates a burst of energy. It creates a burst of energy in the goals near them, those spheres of energy near them. It expands those energy balls also. And then suddenly you are able to find that that other goal was easier to achieve. And I think everything is connected in that way. Some things are more indirect, but everything is connected. It's really good to recognize what is possible. And especially if other areas of your life are stuck, it is very, very good to recognize what is possible and to build from there. The main message with this video is to recognize and acknowledge what your next strategic move is. What can you do in 3 months' time? Whether it's fitness oriented or something else. What can you work towards? What can you achieve? You'll find that if you spend more time on the things that are possible, your manifestations speed up and you're able to do more with them. And that becomes very, very exciting. Anyway, that's this week's episode. This is episode 2 of a new build working towards Haines City half Ironman. This December 15th is the race. We're 7 weeks out from the race at the time of this recording. I want to thank you so much for staying on track with this episode. I feel as if this one was perhaps a little bit more rambly and a struggle to get through, but nonetheless, I'm glad I'm staying on track with videos, uploading on the second channel. It's a channel that I'm really, really very, very excited about. So I appreciate the audience that does tune into it. And with that, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.